Best of threes and best of fives, but never on the big stage at LAN. It's always been one of them has fallen out early, and we keep feeling like this was just never going to happen, but they're in amazing form. It's a best of 7 on a giant map pool. It's going to be such a good night. Up here in the top right side, the Terran player representing Vitality Esports. Everybody put your hands together for Maru!
I have met a lot of fans of this man over the course of this weekend, so I think it's time to raise your voices and make some noise for Basilisk Serral!
One of the most fearsome performances I think I've ever seen from Serral was that 3-0 over Clem. That was absolutely ridiculous earlier today. He just did not let Clem play StarCraft. Doing that in Zerg vs Terran is insane. But of course, Maru is a very different beast, and I think unlike Clem, who does thrive on that momentum and that tempo, Maru's a player who can wear many hats. He can pull into his tortoise shell like no other and just say, hey, no, I don't need to attack you to feel successful. I am one of the best late-game turtlers in the game.
Yeah, you know, Serral was absolutely ruthless earlier, but if there's anyone that can stop something like that, Maru would probably be that guy. He has been making this his playstyle for years at this point, right? But at the same time, he can step it up. He can play quick, and then he can delve into all of those mech builds, which Raynor was talking about on the desk. And that just adds a whole new layer to this, because then for Serral, it's not just obvious how each game is getting set up as well. It complicates Zergs from the complicate things from the Zerg side of the map from the very beginning.
That's Maru's specialty. Sometimes, you know, when it doesn't work, a lot of people go, oh, you're so good at late game. Why are you doing these weird, janky, silly openings? And it's like, hey, if you're predictable in StarCraft, that makes it much easier for your opponents. Maru has never been predictable. That being said, he's starting out with a rather straight-up opening, a 1-Rax expand on the low ground. Reaper's coming out. Serral, of course, went for the very safe 15 hatch 15 pool. He's going for the quick 4 queens. And we're going to see a rather kind of feeling out opening from what we can see so far. No 2 or 3 racks for Reaper, nothing too wild. And that's what I love to see. I mean, for Maru, it's his map pick. He chose this for a reason. It's covered in what? Choke points, bridges, cliffs. It's amazing terrain for the Terran units with their long range and high damage to take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it does end up super late, one of the hard maps to maybe steal a base on as a Zerg as well. So if you get into that split map scenario, the Zerg can actually run out of resources, even though the map's fairly sizable.
Those low ground, like gold, semi-gold bases, you're like, oh, cool, there's a base here. No. It gets blasted.
Doesn't count.
It does not survive for more than a few seconds mining, pretty much ever. But a nice start here for both sides. Very clean. No creep tumors early, just going for the double inject was Serral. He wants to saturate the expansion as quickly as possible. Interestingly though, no ling speed for Serral, which does indicate that he wants to go for a very safe roach opening. Interestingly, he didn't use that at all earlier today. We didn't see any roaches. It was all Ling Bane stuff from Serral against Clem. But against Maru, maybe being afraid of Maru's variety in his opening, we may see that.
And talk about variety in opening, here comes the lair from Serral. He's toyed with a couple fancy things every now and again in ZVT, but it is never a guarantee. Drops the Roach Warren along with this, and Serral is taking us on a little bit of a journey.
Oh my, I love this build order. It's the Roach Warren triple gas. We've seen him use this. There was one time against Clem, in fact. He actually did go Spire. And he made it look like he was going for the 2-base Roach, and it was actually a quick Spire. Great success back on Ancient Cistern. I want to say Sweden in that tournament. But definitely a very good tech here. Cloak Banshee on the way for Maru. Against the fast Overseers, not the most effective play, but it will be very useful for defending Roaches. What it won't be useful for defending is the German taxi that can come with it. Serral's beaten Maru with this build before on Neo-Humanity, I believe, way back when. It was a big 2-base Roach push, Queens getting dropped out of Overlords, but so far we don't see Roach speed, so I'm not sure if that's actually him committing to this or if he's just going to scout.
Yeah, we'll see in a few moments that Overlord speed halfway through, the Reaper and the Hellions poking, trying to find anything, but Serral won't give anything for free, of course. The Banshees, obviously, if they do come into defending, that's why you need the Queens, as Serral is still just building those Roaches. There's the Dropper Lord as well, so we are going to send this with the first few Roaches just wandering across the map. It's really going to come down to, can we protect these Banshees? Can the SCVs help out enough?
Did he forget Roach speed? It feels like this is very awkward. I think he forgot Roach speed. Maybe he thinks he started it Oh my, that is very awkward. That's usually with this rush you want to have it, but I mean, it's so many roaches so early. Maybe that's part of the plan. Just get a few more roaches out. The queens, of course, with an overseer will deal with the banshees. All you've got is Hellions, which suck against roaches. Banshees suck against queens. Maru needs bunkers. He needs tanks. He needs marines. He needs better fighting units, and he needs them fast.
He needs them right now. He needs to start them up immediately if he's going to have bunkers in time for this fight. The Banshee tried to find a few shots of damage, but it got turned away as the Dropper Lord showed up. There's our bunker starting pick. He really didn't respect this until maybe a little bit too late. Let's see what Serral can do. As the queens drop down, they start to put damage on those Banshees. CC just about finishes, as Serral will have to work his way through this wall off.
Oh, great micro on the Banshees. Gets rid of one of the roaches. Gets rid of another Ravager that was morphing there as well. Serral is going to drop a creep tumor. He says, who needs roach speed? I've got creep tumors, and I'm going to spend all that gas on Ravagers. Why would I need roach speed if I'm just making Ravagers? What's also cool is Serral's not all in. The beauty of this push is so hard to deal with, but he's already droning behind it.
Yeah, he's going to own this position for a while, knocking down these depots, can bow the bunkers down. We're going to see the SCVs pulling in, but that first bunker will in fact fall, so Serral gets a bit of momentum coming through. Jumping on the second bunker, Banshee's trying to hold on against those queens. They cloak up, but there is an overseer here, very low though, was being targeted down with the second bunker fall. We still have a lot of Roach Ravager, and Maru is trying to hold this off, but the Roaches are looking good. There's a tank on the ramp to hold this off. The last queen goes down, and that may be it for Serral, but boy, did he find some damage in the end.
Yeah, I do like that Maru focused the overseer. Serral pulled it back, but then he let it drift there, and it did get focused down in the tail end. Banshee beats the queens, and that keeps Maru alive. But as you pointed to, Wardy, it's alive. Is it good though? 71 drones for Serral, only 39 SCVs for Maru. You've got creep tumors spreading outside your base. This is an awkward position to find yourself.
There's our Roach speed coming up now as we look to the future Link speed as well. The Evo Chambers just finished, so it's time to get those upgrades on the road also. And I think Serral's just done enough. This Banshee gonna take a couple more shots. It's going to go down as well. So Maru loses one of the opportunities he might have had to get a little more done. The good thing for Maru is he's got Stim, he's got a few Marines, so maybe there's some opportunities there. Maybe there is potential to come across. But with Serral sitting at 70 drones, it feels like all he has to do from here is build up an army and maybe test the waters once more.
Indeed, he's got massive control. It's like, yeah, your creep spread's a bit delayed, but the supply advantage does not lie. Your upgrades aren't too far behind, and oh, Maru has to be so efficient with what he's got here, but losing the Banshee, losing the Hellions, he's lost his map control, and I think seeing how many drones were on that third, he's got to feel his heart sink a little bit. He's going to have to dig very deep to make this game competitive. I feel like with his push, it is a bit of a conundrum because you think, oh, Serral probably won't commit, but Serral actually committed even harder and faster than he did. I mentioned an old Neo-Humanity build he did when Maru had like low ground 2 racks. That hit with Roach speed, it hit a good 30, 45 seconds later. It doesn't sound like a lot. It is. When you've only got Hellions and a couple Banshees, it's just not what you want there. And if he, you know, Maru, of course, is caught off guard in game 1. Just shows Serral's planning is fantastic. Maru, though, what we're looking for here is poise under pressure. How does he try to recover?
Absolutely, he's going to take those Marines out on the map, try and take some control for himself, knock some of that creep down and just take away some of the safety net that Serral would typically sit on. Actually stands and fights these Roaches for a little while, loses quite a few of those Marines. There's another Drop Lord setting up as we're going to take Queens across off of the map apparently, as Maru will hop up into this main base. He just needs to find ways to hold Serral back. But even if he does, Serral's on his way to Hive, the Bane Nest is coming through, the transitions are there to play a very successful game from here on out, and that's what that drop is for. We're spreading creep even further forward. Talk about accelerating some creep spread. Fortunately, Maru gets there and he's going to deny that plan.
That's such a good plan though. I mean, it's such a great way of spreading that creep so fast. The one thing that I'm finding a little bit, kind of tempers my excitement for Maru, or kind of I'm worried for him, I guess I should say, is the simpler way to put it, is he was committing with those Marine versus Roach fights, and they weren't good fights. He's got to be really quick at identifying good versus bad fights when you're this far behind, and just get out of there when it's bad, commit when it's good. He's got to make those decisions as fast as possible, because any rough trades when you're down 50 supply are going to open up kill opportunities for Serral.
No, absolutely they are, and Serral just moves over here. The Roach is going to deflect this drop as well. Maru is trying to just find stuff. He's got on the map. He's got so many units out here. It's just not hitting just yet, and as Bane Speed comes online, Adrenal Glands, the Vipers, these are all challenges that Maru has to overcome while being a big step behind.
It's interesting when you look at this game and this series in the context of there's been a series of, I guess, changes over the last year or two. A lot of people would say Zerg should have got a bit weaker against Terran in this matchup, and yet Serral keeps defying the odds and getting stronger and stronger and proving that he is, as always, an outlier. He is a player who defines his own balance and creates problems for the Terran in ways that they're not always used to. I really think his planning and the little details like this that he's added in over the last year, I mean, we've seen him use a ton of tunneling claws, right, with roaches, weird queen drop harassment, amazing strange roach pushes, and sometimes they're all in, sometimes they're only semi-committed. The range he's added as a player, I feel like Serral has entered an arc where he has got the variety of a rogue, you know, a player that's truly devious to play against.
He's like a rogue, but within a more kind of controlled style, right?
Yes.
There's so much more theory behind it in a way, and in a way that's very beautiful on its own. These roaches maybe take a step too far off creep, but there's a massive attack in the bottom right pig that's coming in towards this base, and there's not a lot here. Couple tanks are set up, the Lings are going to lead into this. We're going to abduct the first siege tank through, blinding cloud on the next ones, and this means that Serral can go chasing up this ramp with these banes, but they don't get very far. Let's at least finish off those tanks. We do. Knocking down a few SCVs. I mean, this is okay for Serral, right? Because little bits of damage like this are going to add up, and Serral can afford to reinforce and go again where Maru cannot. And
this is a great trade. Getting a bunch of SCVs for these roaches are wasting your supply. You've got 82 drones. You want that army in Lings and Ultras, maybe you've already got Vipers, you could add Infestors, maybe Broodlords potentially later, or Corruptors. Usually Corruptors if there's a lot of Liberators, Broodlords if there's a heavy tank composition, so Serral's opening those options. Obviously the Burrow as well will help with the Infestor ambushes. It feels like Serral's getting all the tools. The creep has expanded across pretty much every lane on the map. Maru clinging to 4 bases, and that's really all he can do is cling. Maybe put some buildings blocking some of the ramps, really turtle harder than you've ever turtled before.
This creep thread's going to be disgusting with those queens accelerating in the out-of-location positions. This left base may be in some trouble, but I think Serral, if he can get that bottom right base up on the blue and gold base for a while before Maru has more map control, is an amazing base to mine off of for a while. We do get that hatchery replaced. The Ultras are coming through, the greatest spy is on the way. Talk about having every tool in your arsenal set up and ready to go.
Much like the series against Clem earlier today. And really, honestly, Serral's entire tournament run so far, his goal has been to not really let his opponent play the game. In no series have I seen Serral go in there just feeling things out. He's clearly got plans to put his opponents on the back foot from the start. And this is a terrible feeling as Maru, because that creep's about to knock on your doorstep. You've got this giant Zerg army waiting out there, and yeah, you're up to ghosts. But you're behind on some of the upgrades. You're just getting to 8 racks now, and that is a huge army of Ultra Link Bane rolling in on the left side. Oh my, the units are out of position. Great SCV evacuation, but that planetary will get busted.
Doesn't even need to use any Banelings for it, so that's going to knock Maru back down to 3 bases. That's such a frustration. Serral decides he's going to go forwards here. A couple of Widow Mines will go off, getting quite a lot of the Banes. Serral says, I don't care, still going to charge on through. A little reckless, losing quite a few of those Ultralisks. The saving grace is that he's still got money to replace that. Loses a Viper as well, though it's getting more painful the more this comes through. But here comes round 2 on the right side as Lings run in, and there's nothing nearby.
As you pointed out, probably the first moment of sloppiness from Serral we've seen today. Did lose a few Vipers, overcommitted into the Ghosts a bit. He's got the money to replace it. It's not a big loss. Maru's like, please do that 5 more times.
Yeah.
I've got to get the money back. Maru, of course, struggling to max out. We can see that units lost tab in the top left. 3,000 resource difference. Maru, with the economic deficit he's at, he's going to want to keep expanding that. If he holds it at this ratio, it's fine, so long as he doesn't lose any more command centers. That's a long shot, though. You know what happens when there's mass Banelings rolling in. Planetaries are hard to hang on to.
It's so difficult, and it's only going to get tougher as you try and spread out further towards the 5th base. This map can be quite drawn out in terms of where you take your bases. And especially if the Zerg already has so much control, and Serral's already abusing that. As he hits at the top, he's almost always hitting on the right side. There's always something else going on in the other location. So hard for Maru to be everywhere. And it's hard to imagine that Serral is not at least going to successfully take down some economy with each and every one of these attempts to surge into the Terran bases.
And as good as this map is for Terran with all the choke points, lovely Widow Mine splash there. Sling Bane attacks rolling in. Doesn't want to overcommit, though. Maru's doing a great job of keeping his forces in reserve, and he's always quick to pull SCVs when needed. So Serral, if he wants to force his way in, he has to go deeper than he's willing to. He's maybe just going to have to wait until Maru moves out to a 5th, because 4 base is very easy for Terran to defend. 5th base gets out pretty far. The 6th base is even more exposed. I would argue, you know, normally it's not an issue because Terran's got the bridges, they've got center control, they've got these ledges, creeps everywhere, there's Banelings waiting to ambush you. It's going to be very hard for Maru to get that center control that Terran love on this map.
Serral's even going to try and take this 3 o'clock base, and even just having that's a bit of a statement, right? You're right next to a Terran base. That's one you don't typically expect to lose to the Zerg, especially when he mines the mirror base on the other side. These are problems which a Terran usually experiences at like 25 or 30 minutes, not 15. and that is the problem Maru is still yet to overcome in this one. For the couple decent fights he's had, it's still an uphill battle for all of those reasons. Here we go, a couple Corruptors leading in. We got the Ghost trying to sit in the back as the Banelings are just going to swarm on forwards. Whoa. There's so much Serral, and he's going to take down everything possible.
Command Center gets blown up, Banelings take it out, Ghosts and Marines as much as they can. Desperate cloaks and spreads. Biles going down. I'd love to see the Corruptors try to take out those Command Centers. Looks like one of them does survive. The Orbital survives as well. One building Command Center went down, but I gotta say, Maru's doing an impressive job of hanging on. The numbers still don't look great for him, but of course we can imagine that if this game was not already so tilted in Serral's favor, that Maru would be getting himself well established. So it is bad to lose your map at the start of the series. It is bad to feel that you're on the back foot. The problem you look for, though, when you're watching a player like this is how well do they handle that pressure. Maru is not making large mistakes. Maybe he could be 2% better at defending these attacks, but there's not a lot of room for improvement. You know, you can't be a miracle worker. You have to rely on playing perfectly from behind, but also your opponent needs to make some mistakes, and Serral hasn't given him many of those yet.
Each of these ramps coming with a built-in infestor at the moment as they start to lurk on forward. Serral's been one of the best at hitting those fungal growths from nowhere as we are going to come forward here. Just force this base to lift off once again. And here are the ghosts. The infestor just to the upper right pops up. Is going to try and get it. Doesn't get the fungal off though, as the Lings will just try and swarm forward anywhere. A few Banelings getting toward the siege tanks will take down some bio, but the ghosts at the very least do stay alive. Serral is going to be pushed back there. A fungal could have changed everything.
Oh, Corruptors sniping another Command Center. Very well done there by Serral. You gotta be careful, of course, because the Ghost snipes are so good versus the Corruptors, but he's always pulling them back in time. And I love what Rainer mentioned on the desk about, hey, look, Maru's the best late game player. Even Serral, if you let him get fully established, you know, you're gonna have a bad time, so just don't let him get there, which is exactly what he's doing. Rainer pointed out, hey, part of it was mine out his side of the map if you can. In this game, Serral hasn't really been able to mine the super far forward bases, but he's got both of these hybrid gold-blue bases getting mined out at the moment. And Maru feels pressure to move out and counterattack it, but that just opens him up to this. Lings and Corruptors get another base. A massive SCV's going down. Maru cannot afford these losses.
He cannot, and he's starting to push on the bottom right-hand side. Serral can give up this base and a couple others if he wants to. He has so much on the upper left, and he's getting so many SCVs with his own counterattack. Maru is on the verge of being completely all in. And Serral has all the money to just morph in Banelings and get ready for that big roll forwards just to try and knock this army down one more time. Because Maru on 27 SCVs and 3 command centers, he ain't getting anywhere, Pig.
No, he's down in army supply. That's the one thing you look for when your economy is getting ravaged. Maybe you've got a big army supply advantage. You can push forward. Where are you going to push through? That is a sea of creep. And I don't think he's going to be parting those seas anytime soon. Serral looking calm, collected, and in control. He is looking to never give Maru a moment's peace. And so far at the start of this series, Maru hasn't found it. He's going to try and push this left side to deny that other hybrid base. He's got so little economy behind this. And it's a tough one for Maru. Serral coming in with the broadside. The Liberator's facing in the wrong direction. The Corruptor's getting on top. The Widow Mines are not getting any big hits. He spread his Zerglings to the left so well.
Yeah, and these Banelings are just going to keep on hunting. It's going to be good enough as Serral gets the GG out of Maru on Maru's map pick to open up our grand finals. The Finnish Phenom, strong, calculated. He got himself a great build order to take an advantage, and then he said no pressure. Step back, take all my advantages, play it out smartly, and did everything he had to open up with this 1-0 lead.
That water bottle's got me a few times this event as well. I feel more connected to Serral than ever. I've been unscrewing them because every time I use that squeezy top, I spray water on myself, just like Serral just did. Honestly, this was all about the opening. Serral had a beautiful opening. I was like, oh, he's forgotten roach speed. No, it was all part of the plan. He's like, no, I want to get as many Ravages as I can off these 3 gases, 3 Queens, an Overseer to deal with the 2 Banshees. Normally, those 2 Banshees are the big Terran tool that changed the math. It's like, hey, these 2 Banshees could beat unlimited Roaches and Zerglings. You're like, no, sorry, got Overlord speed. I'm going to drop these Queens. Guess what? You're going to defend with Hellions and Marines and SCVs, and that doesn't feel good at all. I love the way Serral transitions out of it because so many of those attacks feel like it's just mass Roachling all in, but he's like, no, I don't have Link speed. It's just about 10 Roaches, make a bunch of them into Ravages, and I'm droning behind it. It's so hard to balance your defense against that. You need like safety bunkers or an early tank, things which a Terran player does not want to have to invest into.
No, absolutely, right? The moment the Terran has all of that set up, and then they're like, how much more do you want to build into? You need to keep some SCVs up as well, because you know the Zerg could be droning behind it, and that's the difficult part. If it takes you too long to clean it up and push it back as well, the Zerg has just droned up 70 workers, the roach speed starts, and all of a sudden, you have no map control, no way to get anywhere. And Serral just took complete control of that map number 1. And now his map pick in this best of 7. We head into Riyadh Station to start up game number 2. This is already going to feel pretty bad for Maru. You lose your map pick, then you've got to play a Riyadh, which is a map. I don't even know if we've seen it in this tournament before now. As we kick off in the bottom left-hand corner, the Red Terran player who's looking to bring this one back from Team Vitality, it is Maru.
And in the top left side of the map, feeling very comfortable on this map. It is a wide open expanse that is going to play to his favor. Representing Basilisk up 1 game after a brilliant map. In the top right side of the map, it is Serral. I don't think we have seen this map this tournament. I agree there, Wardy. It's a nasty one. I remember there was at the very start of the season, Clem was vetoing Equilibrium. He was afraid of that gold base, and within a week of playing this map, he said, "You know what? I'm gonna start playing Equilibrium. I like the gold base better than playing this map," because I saw some games where Clem was getting way ahead on this map, and he just could not finish the Zerg because the space is so massive between you.
You know, we did see it one time. It was Spirit versus Solar. And Spirit went, just to emphasize what the map is like, he went 4 CCs, pig. 4 CC is not an opening you do. Well, it was for Spirit on this map. Very intrigued as to what Maru opens with. You already see the greed coming in with the command center first. Can only imagine that's going to be part of the plan in the future here as well. And this map feels so difficult to play Bio on, because they will also just play Ling Bay Meteor against you and control it so well. Maybe this is where Maru already delves into a little bit of mech.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. In a way, you can kind of make yourself a bit more comfortable, or at least make it uncomfortable for both sides. Serral, I think, almost certainly has more practice on this map than Maru. And that's because actually that morning before Spirit played Solar, he was practicing with Serral repeatedly on this map. I remember because our schedule was getting ruined that day, and I was like, wow, what is this? Who picks Radu set? And Serral said, oh, he's practiced with me all morning. It's really, really good for Zerg, though. It's really good for Zerg. I think he's crazy for picking this map. So Serral feels extremely confident here. The other problem that you run into in late game is the bases are not in the middle. Normally, you get lots of bases kind of together. In this, it's like, okay, you can maybe expand to the top left corner as Terran, but you're never going to also take the bases in the bottom right. So you have to choose one area of the map. And even if you move to the top left corner as Maru, your main is wide open. If they break the rocks down and mine open the mineral wall, they're going to flood into this back base as well. So it's awkward in the late game being at a mobility disadvantage as a Terran.
Ability disadvantage, and you just don't progress anywhere. Usually Terran's expansions come with progression, holding positions. That's what the Terran race is so much about. And yet here on Riyadh, it just doesn't work like that. And you see already Serral's opening, Overlord speed. He just wants to make sure nothing crazy is going on. He's so comfortable taking a loss early on this map just to make sure he will be fine going into a mid-game. That's the sort of lead he feels like he can kind of give up already because he knows this map is so good for him.
Yeah, especially if you're either skipping or delaying your Ling speed a lot and you just say, well, I can do a build. Normally I spend 100 minerals and 100 gas on Ling speed. Instead I use it on Overlord speed. Unless there's some Hellions diving in or something like that, it doesn't really change the way my build maps out. So it's a nice way of subbing in a build you've got a ton of experience with for a slight variation there. Now seeing the factory, does see the Hellions coming. This is of course Serral's first person view. You can see the face of eternal focus and never satisfied with how he's playing down in that bottom right side. Sees the double engineering bay, I believe that was. And the Hellions getting blocked by the Queens a little, but with no Ling speed, it is tough. You don't want to let those Hellions in, they are fast.
Yeah, the drone's getting for a pretty good surround though. One Hellion drops, it's going to remove the danger on this a little bit. The last Hellion does not have much HP left on it. That drone on the low ground, maybe in a little bit of trouble, but nope, the Queens get there, we clean up. The Cyclone's now spotted as well, so Serral gets some scouting information with that Overlord flying on through, knows what that next set of units are, just needs to get out of a little supply block he's found himself in.
You know, I didn't catch it when he clicked on those buildings. I think they're engineering bays. Obviously, they could be armories, but I'm pretty sure they're engineering bays there. It'd be pretty wild to be going double armory mech this early. Double Evo Chamber in response tells us indeed. It definitely is a bio game. So Ling Bane versus Marines. You've got small, hard-hitting units. They do low damage, but very frequently. Armor and attack upgrades scale incredibly well. And that's why Maru, with this early upgrade lead, is going to have a bit of an edge on the upgrades.
He really played as gritty as he could, right? It's very rare nowadays you go double engineering bay before you get the extra barracks down. This was a thing way back when.
Yeah.
And it just got killed over and over again. So nowadays you get barracks 2 and 3 engineering bays kind of at the same time. To take the engineering bays early, Maru is setting up to be as powerful as possible, as early as possible. I can only imagine he's got something fairly aggressive around the like 9-10 minute marker planned. With this kind of greed being taken, drops the starport down now as well, so gets ready for medevacs. And we continue to set on up through those early moments, waiting to see what Maru's plan will be.
Haven't seen any big, we just haven't seen many games on this map, but I haven't seen any 8-raxes or anything. Notice Serral mined out a single mineral on his back base so that his creep can actually spread across the rocks. I did not know you could do that, but the things you learn, and that way he can get the creep going out the left side of the map as well, which will massively speed that up. Lair is on the way. Lings are going to get rid of one cyclone. Very well done on the surround.
Yeah, catches on that corner, a little bit unfortunate, as Maru has really been just losing those early game units. Obviously, the first Hellions dove in very purposely, but now losing the Cyclones too. Any kind of early control units he has on the map are very much so dealt with. One Cyclone ain't going to be doing much.
That Cyclone going to try and wedge itself behind the mineral line, make itself as annoying as possible. Not bad, but Serral cleans it up. And we've got Lingbane against Bio. Maru. You could definitely do a frontal push. You can go for the multi-prong style, take advantage of the fact that the Zerg's spread out. The problem is, I'm pretty sure Serral's going to go Mutalisks here. That's what almost every Zerg does on this map. There's so much space to work with. And once those Mutalisks are out, drops are very dangerous. They start to run into a lot of issues. Oh, 4th command center. Okay. Nah, Maru's going to play macro. He's just going to straight up man mode this and say, let's grapple in the late game, Serral. I love it. Maru just completely unafraid.
Completely unafraid, a map that everyone shies away from. He says, you know what, bring it. I'm going to play as macro as I can. It's down to you to stop me, kind of, if you want to get there, or to accept my duel in the late game. And I don't see any reason why Serral wouldn't accept the duel. He did set up a drop load, so maybe a little bit Baneling harass could come through over those next few moments. We already have a load up over on the south side, so that's the sort of thing you got to be ready for. Well, missile turrets are definitely going to help knock that overload down, pressure it to drop those Banes a bit early, give you a better chance of running SCVs away. Now Maru's own drop going to show up in the back of this in-base third.
Lings are there very quickly. Queen going to get a few hits on the medevacs, and the spores coming down will stop that. The Overlord drop took a few hits from the turret, is rotating around, it's going to find another missile turret. Serral's going to bounce around and says, okay, let's go for the natural then. With this, yeah, another missile turret.
Yeah, they are everywhere. Maybe not quite from this angle. Maybe this way you find a little bit of something. As this drop load does finally find a way in. Maru has to be paying attention and hopefully doesn't just rely on the turrets. SCVs pull. Now he'll go elsewhere, unloading the Banelings already. And yeah, these SCVs just have to run. There's nothing down here to fight them off.
Oh, very nice. Maru does react there. Baneling speed kicking in just a few seconds late, and the SCVs will be able to evacuate. Wait, Maru! Where are your units, mate? Oh my gosh!
My goodness, 6 workers going down. It took a little while, but Serral finally got there, and he chased the SCVs from one base to the other and back again. Bit of lost mining time on that one as the attempted 5th of Serral will come online. Maru drops it, but guess what? The Serral already here, ready to fight it. One Widowmine shot that he does okay against.
Not too bad. He's got the drop in the natural as well. Maru's up on 4 bases. He has established his 2-2's about to kick in, which means he's going to get an upgrade advantage, and this is where he's going to start piling on. Remember I said I was sure there was going to be Mutalisks? There's no Mutalisks, Wardy. It is just Lingbane, which means these drops have a chance to bounce around. Maru is going to test the Finnish players' multitasking, see if he can defend all these angles at once. This map has so much dead space. These bases are all kind of awkwardly placed when it comes to defending drops, but Maru hasn't found any big damage just yet. 7 drones is not bad, don't get me wrong, but he's far from enacting the sort of chaos that he would like to sow in Serral's Mineral Lions.
Oh, absolutely. He wants Serral to be threatening and running around here and there and everywhere. He wants Serral to have to be focusing on rebuilding, then caught out of position elsewhere. This isn't happening. These drops have become controlled very quickly. And Serral is obviously hitting a lot of tech himself because he didn't go via the Mutalisk. He's now hitting Hive Tech with Vipers, the Adrenal Glands. Some Infestors are joining the fray, and that means Serral is looking to be very soon extremely well set up against this Maru army that's starting to come out on the map a little more so. He has another drop load coming through, although has to be careful there because the Watchtower will see it. And Maru still trying to drop these last few units, but again, this has been handled pretty well from Serral start to finish.
The modern Maru economy is in place, Wardy. 94 SCVs. The old days, he'd sit on like 80, 85 and build a ton of command centers. These days, he says, we don't have time for that. I've got to keep pressure on the Zerg to stop them getting out of control. So he has more of a gradual, take a 4th, take a 5th, take a 6th. He'll eventually, if he banks up the money, build tons of orbitals. but he's not focusing on it. You can see here, Widowmine drops there, Bio in the south. He's got a drop still in the back of the main base. He's trying to create as many problems as possible. Lingbane does ambush some of the Marauders. The Marines start to step back. That Widowmine drop dancing around the picture-in-picture. We saw the other drop going around, but a bit of missed pathing in the south, causing Maru to bleed out a few more Marauders than he would have liked.
Yeah, those Ling's able to get a catch, punishing Maru for the mistake. And it just doesn't feel like he can get anywhere. Now you've got infestors lurking around already, and this game's about to get a whole lot more complicated here for Maru, because one bad fungal growth in that army, and he's going to start taking heavier losses. Serral can start to instigate some fights as well. As you have an infestor to the top and infestor to the south, and a Terran army stuck right there in the middle. But Zerg is not there with everything else just yet, so it's not worth justifying an attack through. A few units go down, but that will be it, as we once again have this dropper load that's just been going on at the same time. A few Lings unloading, but there are bio units there to deal with it.
Maru pulling back right now. He's at 99 SCVs. Serral is up 20 army supply. Serral is looking for the forward aggression, but a scan went down. I'm not sure if he lost any of the infestors there, as they were tracking that army. Widowmine drop. Oh! He's like 6 Widowmines that did almost nothing. Finally, it's the one Widowmine that pays it off, and this is where you've got to be persistent as a player playing this sort of game that Maru is now. He's trying to go ghost behind it. He's got mass command center building. He's realizing Serral's not going to get finished easily. I have to go to late game. And he's getting set up for it right now. Widowmine's out there. Viper's coming in, not really finding any big openings just yet.
No, not yet. We're going to split a couple Lings forward against those Widowmines. Serral is going to throw a parasitic bomb down and just lead into this. I mean, a lot of Marauders here in the front. The Banes will crash into those. Not many Hydras left on the end of it. There's a Nidus going up in the main base at the same time, though. Maru has now realized pulling units across. What's going to pop out? Just a few Zerglings, it seems, as Serral is going to retreat away with everything else. So it's just going to be some harass here. A couple ghosts popping out to deal with it. That could have been scarier.
Yeah, it's only a little pinprick. It's a distraction, but there's nothing happening on the front. I mean, Maru did kind of crush the army on the front. The Lingbane got on top of his Marines and damaged them all into the deep red. The Hydra's got all the Marauders in the red. Nothing actually died of Maru's, except maybe like 1 or 2 medevacs. So it was a really efficient fight, and we will, of course, keep checking in on the units lost tab. Serral does look a little bit frustrated as his last few attacks have been stymied, and he is down 4,000 resources in the units lost. Utilizing Burrow, though, for another sneaky Nidus in the back of the base. Serral is down on workers, and yet he hasn't been able to find value with his army. Maru is playing an excellent late game.
He actually is, right? He's got so much money already banked up here as well, finding better efficiency than he found on the previous game as well, of course, and that's just where he wants to keep it up. But of course, also, Serral is about to see a different style of players. We are going to have an infestor here, going to pop up, it lands the fungal, and it is going to be jumped on by Serral. Barons are connecting, the medevacs are going to escape with only 3 units, and Maru loses a chunk of his army, and it's not done yet, Pig.
The recycler, the master recycler he is. Serral even saved the infestor. He's so good at reburrowing those. So many players run in their infestors or vipers, throw their spells and let them die. Not Serral. This man is so cool, calm, and calculated. He's looking for it again. Round 2. Another big juicy fungal all over Maru's bio.
Wow, after Maru was playing such a great game, finds so much efficiency, that is going to turn around with 2 deadly fungals. Serral finds himself a command center cancel as well, and that was a major swing of things in favor of Serral. The resources lost definitely going to be costly on that regard. And still got another infestor lurking nearby. The Banes just keep on coming. We're going to land a fungal yet again. And Serral just says, I've got endless of these. What are you going to do about them? He doesn't have that much backup, but just a few Lings and a few Hydras is enough to keep pushing through. No, for now, Serral will go up. He'll let Maru recover. But behind all of this, the lurker transition is on its way. And Maru's lost a lot of control that he did have up until that point.
Perfect analysis, Wardy. I am with you. It feels like Serral's just... He's got the standard Lingbane Hydra Swarm at a good timing, but then he's just got Infestor Traps coming in so early in the game as well. And Maru is trying to get to that top left corner. We were saying, you know, you can't really expand everywhere at once, but maybe you can stretch to that top left corner. Problem is, look how far away that is. If Serral jumps on it and Maru moves out of position to defend it, his natural might become wide open, as well as the back of his base. These Nidus worms continuing to be a nuisance. Serral is being as frustrating to play against as possible. Turret ring, Sensor Tower ring trying to get built, but a lot of those buildings did get interrupted on the way. The Nidus worms look like they got deflected so far. The Lingbane Viper coming in, Ghost coming north, the Infestor's in vision.
Run, Infestor, run. He drops a fungal just before he gets taken taken down. We will have this base up here going down and a chunk of SCVs to go along with it. So Maru had a huge economy, still has a good economy, but not what he was looking to work with earlier on in this. You're right, those missile turrets are going to be very important, as I think Maru just really wants to sit back. He's like, please, leave me alone for a moment. He's constantly on the hunt for these infestors too. Impressive how many of those he's caught, and yet they've still been so disastrous for him, as Serral is diving forward once again. Balen's getting to crash into the center, chasing for some ghosts in the background, and there's so many Hydras here as well this time.
Oh, the parasitic bombs pop a ton of the medevacs as well. About 4 or 5 medevacs go down, not to mention the ones the Hydras took down before that. There's another infestor here looking for yet another fungal trap. Serral is brutal. Anytime you are not near a missile turret, he's got a fungal trap. To be fair, Maru tanked that one on the chin. There weren't any banelings to capitalize on it. But I gotta say, Maru just barely clinging onto this 5th base, or 6th base, I should say, in the top left corner. Serral, you can see he does look a little bit frustrated. I think he's landed so many good fights. He's like, can you crumble now? And Maru's just coming out with this flood of units. How many orbital command centers was it? I feel like Maru got a lot up. And that is many. 7 orbitals, a lot of scans available, not to mention the mules that he can flood out to instantly reproduce his army. A massive amount of barracks and starports as well. So the Liberated Ghost transition is fully underway.
That 12 and 6 o'clock base from Serral become quite important here, because those are going to be the bases that give him the economy that Maru may never gain access to. We're keeping this at about a 4,000 resource loss count as well, so it's very controlled for Serral. He's not letting Maru take super good fights. And we do see one more night is denied. Of course, Maru has to keep on top of those. Serral will be relentless with them. It only takes 1 to ruin your day, as it also only takes 1 Liberated to ruin a mineral line before that Spore Crawler gets up. So that will be a little bit of distraction down here on the bottom side. Meanwhile, another Niders don't see anything coming to save this one, and what's going to pop out? I feel like it's going to spell trouble for the Terran.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. He's like a Viking or something down here to get rid of these lurkers. Popping into the back door. Plenty of ghosts there. If he micros perfectly, Maru should be able to deal with it. Liberas comes in as well. I think the lurkers might be the more important harassment. No, they got shut down. They had to run away. Great defense by Maru. I gotta say, I am so blown away with Maru's ability to hold his own. If he can defend another attack up here, this is looking like he might actually be able to even take the entire game. The Banelings do crash through the Marauders. Not the best unit for them to be hitting, but at least he does clear Maru's front line. Serral, he doesn't even have a big bank advantage anymore. Maru is just doing such a good job of hanging on, and look at this. He has demanded Serral's respect. Serral's like, well, there's so many libs. I got to build corruptors. I need something to take them down. Hydras aren't working. And yet, look at this. There's no more surprise infestors because there's turrets everywhere, the sensor towers. Serral is realizing this is my map, and I'm running into a brick wall.
Yeah, Maru is doing a fantastic job of just frustrating Serral at this stage. And, you know, he did have so many good fights and fungals and everything, and just not capitalizing off the back of it. Maru has done a fantastic job, and now harassing from afar with his Liberator. That's going to demand some Corruptor attention as well. And these are all things which Serral didn't want to have to slow down to deal with, because it's given Maru time to set up bases, mine from locations that Serral never really wanted him to see. Well, he's just going to have to accept that. And again, that 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, those bases become ever more important as Maru gets the top left online. Sniper's going to pop out here. Lurkers can come through and maybe get rid of some of these CVs. Some Marauders showed up. Letting Bane poking around in the center, maybe threatening just to keep a few units here. There's also Liberators setting up. This game is non-stop.
Lurkers in the top left being a nuisance. That Planetary takes a lot of damage. Remember, they do a big bonus to Armored. Planetary looks like it will fall. Nice move there for Serral. Very important to slow down Maru's income. Gets the Lurkers in, gets them out. The Liberators going down are also valuable kills. And I think Serral has kind of gone from a mode of, I want to swarm you and deny your bases, to, all right, let's wait. Let's play tactically. Let's play efficiently. Efficiency over everything else. And he does need to fully saturate with his bottom base and that top middle base as quickly as possible, because once you slow down, it's inevitable that Terran can crawl their like turrets and planetaries and liberators and ghosts towards you. So you got to kind of mine that out as fast as you can. I can't believe that dodged those 3 scans.
He's going to pop up. He's going to grab a fungal. We've seen this one before. As the Banes are looking to close the distance, the ghosts are hurting. The Corruptors will be here as well, though they got caught up on a command center. Now they come through to hunt down these liberators, if nothing else. The Banes want to find a couple final ghosts. Now they'll turn around, but we cleaned out every lib in the sky.
The Corruptors are what gets the value in these fights. Whenever the Terran is running, it's the Corruptors just massacring those libs, especially the parasitic bomb, softening them up. The fungal at the start catching some ghosts as well. Serral's spellcaster ambushes are a thing of legend. He is so solid at this. He's keeping the units lost so close. You're not meant to be this efficient as a Zerg against a Terran. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely out of this world. These are games you're not meant to really win as a Terran, because the Zerg is going to have those bases extra, and that makes such a difference. Some ghosts do not find snipes. There's another It keeps happening. Even Maru lets out a smile. That's a thing of legend. It's because he knows he's just been caught so many times, as Serral has been incredible with those infestors.
Well, Serral's getting psychological damage. The fact that Maru's laughing at it, he's like, you literally minefielded this entire map, mate. What the heck? Everywhere I go, there's a new infestor. I'm scanning everywhere. I'm taking out a lot of the infestors, but new ones just slither right in. Lurker harass at the top left again, taking out the turrets. Oh, getting a few of those repairing SCVs would be nice. The Liberators will eventually clean this up. Serral keeping him so busy, though. Look at this swing in the bank. Serral has massive money to call on, and Maru is just clinging to 6 bases. If this top left base manages to mine out, sure, that seems good. The problem is, he's being kept away from Serral mining the next bases. If Serral gets those 2 bases mined out, remember, every mineral he mines, every bit of gas he takes is resources that Maru will not be able to take off those. We can criticize Serral. That should be probably at 20 workers. He should probably have the gases mining. But I mean, that's because he's so busy popping infestors up and ruining Maru's army repeatedly.
Yep, it takes a lot of attention, and you're right. Maybe there's that very minor thing that he could fix here, but at this point, he's under no trouble of losing that base either. Like, it feels as though it's not in trouble at all. So he's just chilling out here. Again, we still see infestors everywhere, just as the Terran has mines littered everywhere. I was just going to see the Corruptors making a flight forward. We do need a couple of mine shots. Fortunately, those Corruptors are pretty darn tanky. They get to survive through a little bit.
It's these little tactical dives. You see a lot of players in this scenario go, oh, you just can't break through. Their defenses are too good. Yeah, if you grab your whole army and run in there, sure. But notice the way Serral pokes in, abducts 3 or 4 libs, kills them, gets out, takes a few mine hits. It's not 100% for free, but it's very close, and often it is efficient. And even there, of course, those Liberators siege up, but he pulls the drones away almost instantly. He's got so much money to draw, and he could almost swap back into an inefficient mode if he wanted to, throw an army or 2 at Maru to see what sticks.
Yep, this infestor is going to put itself into the scan radius here, so we get another couple of abducts. Efficiency continues to be the name of the game. There's an infestor here that gets caught immediately, though. Again, Maru has to just live within the scans, because if he doesn't, and even when he has been, it has been all about those infestors. How is Maru about to have lost more resources than Serral?
Well, I mean, it's insane, because he's killed, like, I don't know how many infestors, probably like 12 or something, but there's always a new one coming in. And you got to realize how demanding that is on the Zerg to continually have always new infestors in production, burrow coming in. These guys aren't control grouped. You've got like 10 infestors on the map. They can't all be on control groups. Serral is simply moving around the map and masterfully setting up these ambushes and keeping track of them exceptionally well. It is something you do not face very often. Maru may be the king of Terran late game, but Serral is fantastically set up as the king of Zerg late game. And whilst this map is very good for the Zerg, Maru is, of course, putting up an amazing fight, something which makes me think Serral might have insane urgency on better maps for Terran. He might be like, well, there's no way I'm playing this stage on a good map for Terran.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. If this is what Radu's set looks like, I mean, Serral's in trouble on some other maps. So you're right, maybe some more of those interesting pushes like we saw in the opening game of this series. As, yeah, Radu's definitely gives Serral a little bit of a leg up, as he is going to come diving forwards here. Some medevac's going to get taken down. There's Liberators in the back. We're not going to dive that deep, of course. Defensive positions like that missile turret, so just do a lot to zone out, give you a bit more of a chance. But these SCVs are in trouble. This orbital's not allowed to mine, and Maru trying to take the gold base instead just shows he's got to change a plan. Like, he's realizing this top left is not his any longer.
Yeah, and this is the problem with this map is there's no bases in the middle other than these 2 gold bases. Normally you can kind of move forward on those middle bases and be like, oh cool, I'm defending a base and controlling the middle and branching out from there to deny your bases. On this map it's like, cool, you've got that position. What are you going to do with it, bro? Oh, defend? What, if he wants to attack, he's got to move through 3 screens of creep to get to Serral's gold base, which, by the way, is already mined out at this point. Serral denying the top left. This is just a massive Zerg bank. And don't get me wrong, Maru's doing a good job to get his hands on this gold, but he has not got a lot of room for error. Good snipes here.
Yep, Tail kills off the leading Ultralisk, because a lot of SCVs beyond what's necessary on this base. The planetary goes down. We're going to go ghost hunting with these Banelings. Good splits from Maru, though, minimizes the damage taken on this. And the SCVs at least get to live. Serral is going to flank in on the bottom side of the map instead. So in we go. We have Maru all clumped up, having a run. Corruptors dive pretty deep here this time.
Those turrets, though, those turrets doing good damage. The ghost pulled back really well. Serral spent a lot of money on that fight, did not find the base. He didn't find the heart of the economy, only got a few libs and medevacs. That was a good fight for Maru as he gets back to a 5,000 resource lost units advantage. Means he's been 5,000 resources more efficient. This base has not been mined out yet. Maru denying that is potentially a base he could take in the future. We were talking about this game as if Maru would be starved, but he's taken his gold. I forgot to kind of account for that one. That one is impossible for the Zerg to mine out, of course, as it's literally siegeable from the high ground. If he can mine that and get some of the minerals and gas on this base down to the bottom, suddenly looks a bit better for him. Hatchery kill, 300 minerals of value there. Serral says, okay, if you're going to do that, I'm going to mine your top left base, though. So very good counterplay from the Zerg.
Always accounting for, hey, if you get that money, I'm going to take that money. And again, the efficiency as well. If this was like a 20k resource loss game difference, we'd be worried for Serral in a big way. And that wouldn't be kind of too far wrong in a game of this length. But Serral's found the efficiency that gives him a bit of leeway to allow a base maybe being taken by a Terran and to allow Maru a bit more position on the map. So that's still something to keep in mind, and he is going to try and retake this one once again.
One thing that does worry me a little, Wardy, is the gas. He didn't really mine gas very quickly out of these middle bases, Serral. And his gas bank's very low because what is he trading? It's like Infestors, Vipers, Corruptors, Banelings. It's a very gas-heavy Zerg army. It's not as heavy on the Zerglings and the like. 12 Infestors have gone down. He has not lost a... He's on the same Vipers from the early game. He hasn't lost a Viper yet. Wow, that's truly a very unique thing. This deep in a game, most players have replaced their Vipers 3 or 4 times. Serral, the recycling man, looking great. The Ultra's pulling back out of snipe range. Serral looking like he kind of wants to fight here. But Maru just doesn't get baited. He's like, no way, I'm not moving into the open.
Yeah, he knows it's a bad idea as he works his way through his gold. Another CC comes up down here. Still trying to retake that 6 o'clock once again. I mean, you see all the final upgrades coming up from Maru as well. Some +2 ship weapons also. Serral still has so many minerals. I mean, I guess gas, yeah, maybe a problem, but maybe not so much if the Vipers are still alive. That really is something that's kind of incredible because we've seen them used so many times for abducts and all sorts. They've been in the in the thick of it multiple times over.
You know, we were so far ahead of schedule today. There was like a few one-sided series, and I think we were realizing at this point if there was one big finals that needed us to be ahead of schedule, it was this one. These guys can go for some very long games in a best of 7, and already game 2 is turning into a bit of a barn burner. I'm already starting to do the late game maths you do when the game is kind of dragging on. You're like, how many Zerglings can you build with 10,000 minerals anyway? You know, you're like, oh, okay, this is ridiculous. Another big attack comes in. Ultra Baneling coming south. The ghosts are there, though. You're going to watch out for that. The Banelings aren't really going to find the mark.
No, they are not. There was one good fungal that helped out a little bit. We're going to finish off that CC. A few of these SCVs going down as well. And that means that Maru is really not mining that much. 27 work is okay. He does obviously have a lot of orbitals, but he also wants to keep on scanning because he's afraid of more of those infestor fungals from earlier. Serral cancels up this base. Maybe a few drones going to go down, return as Maru gets the chase away. And Serral is still just rebuilding Lings as he gets set up for more. This time going to go into the center, going to try and find a lot of this stack defense, knock down these missile turrets and give him a better shot at denying the gold as the Corruptors fly through to shut down these limbs, and the Lings are owning this planetary.
Oh, the Baneling's going to roll into the mineral line as well. SCVs, a few of them do get out. 9 SCVs in the planetary go down. Serral is using his mobility, and this is always the problem we talked about. You can't take the gold and the top left at the same time. Maru was trying to not take the top left, but at least deny Serral from having it. And by Serral threatening this base, this is like the 5th time in the last 2 minutes he's tried to take that hatchery. He forced Maru out of position. He has applied passive pressure. Maru got out of position. Maru just took his biggest loss of this game. A ton of infrastructure going down. A lot of his turrets have been cleared. He's desperately taking that bottom base. Maru is looking more and more like he's going to have one hypermaxed army that he needs to finish the game off, but he doesn't have an insanely efficient army. A lot of it's still Marine Marauder, and looking at a 7,000 mineral bank, that is a hard thing to face down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just not being able to replace any of those turrets, right? Any of those defenses that have helped you out before, that is going to be painful. You can see a missile turret coming up in production, but he's got basically no of the money. He rebuilds 6 SCVs. Even that cost at this stage of the game is such a frustration. You need other things, but you've got to reset the foundations, and that's where the real expense is going to come from. This infestor, unfortunately, gets caught back up in a scan. He ran himself into that one. As Serral is waiting for this fight, he tries to go in, but he's just a little afraid of how much is there from the Terran.
We haven't seen any good fungal ambushes for a while, but I figure you step onto creep a little deeper there, it's going to happen. You're going to invite Serral into your territory. That one's standing literally next to a missile turret. Ling's continuing to clean these turrets up. He's getting crazy value out of these. Even though Serral's down 10,000 resources and the units lost, you're going to realize he's sucking so many more resources off of the map. He's got the top left up there, and most of his other bases are starting to mine out. Maru's mining, though, is basically dregs at this point. Not even able to drop a lot of mules because he's dumping scans everywhere, and he has to. He doesn't have another option. Serral's putting him in that position. Maru's getting bled dry.
He really, really is. It feels like any fight could be the final one for the Terran here because the rebuilding is becoming less and less likely. The changelings get caught now. Wouldn't mind splash right there. Unlucky time to jump out of them overseers, as we do have an overseer around the back. Could still Nidus the main, right? Maybe knock down some further infrastructure Maru that he would not be able to replace.
Oh, Snipey's on the Ultras. Gets only one of them to connect before they turn around. Great pullback timing for Serral. 6 Infestors, 2 Vipers, 6 Ultras, 11 Corruptors, 36 Pains, and 49 Zerglings up against a mixture, very even, of Ghost, Marauder, Marine. Only a few Libs left. It seems like the Liberators keep getting picked off. And I think Maru said, okay, maybe those aren't the play right now. Serral loses his top left base, evacs some of the drones. He says, if enough of your units are out of position there, I will push in the south. EMPs on the Vipers, they won't get any spells off. The Ultra Baneling going forward, beautiful spreads from Maru. There's a lot of Ultra Bane running forward, but they're getting cleansed. That was a clinical defense for Maru.
Able to pull away and just shut down so much. We even lost a Viper. That's how bad it was for Serral in comparison to the earlier stages. And Maru is going to go hunting. He knows that that was a blow to Serral's army, and he realizes maybe this is a bit of an opportunity. He will get rid of a bit more of the bank than he's gotten rid of beforehand. And Serral, well, he needs to rebuild back up. He is pretty much maxed again. Morphing in those Banes, a few more Infestors coming out. And again, still mining the last bits and pieces off this top base. Maru has taken the 6 o'clock. There's that Nidus in the main. That might just pull Maru back a whole bunch as well. Serral giving himself time and maybe even position once more to attack those forward bases from Maru.
Spreading creep with a Nidus Worm. The details that Serral executes in the midst of the chaos are insane. A new Nidus Worm pops up in the back. He doesn't really have anything there. The double drop Maru sent back should clean it up. He's got, of course, a big push in the top left side of the map, cleaning up the Nidus and the creep. There is an Infestor tracking it. The army's moving north. He's looking for the ambush. Maru's in the open. Terran in the open. Oh!
Just catches it as it unburrows, but the open army is going to just be jumped on anyways. Didn't even need the fungal growth to come through. A lot of those units on the left side go down, but the ghosts are good against the lings, especially cloaked up with no overseer nearby. And so Serral does not get what he wants, and the last few lings get widow mined in the corner. Serral rebuilds again, but his bank is getting lower and lower.
This is a huge problem, honestly. It feels like Serral's been way ahead for ages, but he can't finish him. And that bottom base is mining for Maru. The fact that the minerals are out for Serral, Maru's taking these last minerals. I mean, Serral's had the income advantage times 1,000 for so long, but he's mined it all out. It's back now. The first time in a while, Maru had a tiny bit of income advantage. And honestly, the army supply is very similar. Serral's only got a few thousand resources advantage. And every time he's taking these big Widow Mine hits or these EMPs or these snipes, things are getting worse and worse. He hasn't landed those big fungal ambushes that got him the efficiency in the earlier stages. And Maru with a big army on the front, Serral is going to lose one of his few mining bases.
Is it Broodlord time? He made a bunch more Corruptors pick. I mean, I understand maybe chasing down these medevacts, but what else is he going to do? The Widow Mine here goes off. Somehow it wasn't as bad as it should have been. We catch a bunch of Marauders. We're still building Corruptors. That Corruptor fleet and flock is strong, but we will see what it gets used for as this Bioforce continues to come forward. We got this hatchery trying to rebuild the last little bits of economy in the top side for Serral. As Maru, again, that income lead, he retakes the top left. He's taking the bomb because Serral doesn't have enough anymore to deny the bases.
And it's not even about income right now. It's just about the fact that if he gets the resources at all, which Maru's getting them because they're left on the map, Serral's already mined all his out. Serral needs to win a fight. He's making 11 Broodlords, which is the first time he'll have the range advantage in this game. Broodlord's one of the longer units, ranged units in the game. The Ghost can snipe them. He's going to have to use Infestors to guard them. 15 Broodlords. This is Serral's last big push. He has to do it with this army.
The beauty of it is Maru's too broke to add Vikings or to add Thors or anything like that, so it has to come down to the Ghosts. It has to be the snipes, and that's what the Infestors can do so well, as long as they don't get EMP'd, of course. We drop one fungal on the front line, though.
Nice fungals there, picking off a few of these Marauders. Going forward, one Infestor at a time is the trick, because you don't want them to get clumped up and get EMP'd. Serral's got to be careful against those Ghosts. The Ultraling Bane on the south, ready to flank as well. Great micro. Already, these Broodlords, the first time they showed themselves, getting big damage. Maru is going to wait for Viking support. He's going to build a bunch of Vikings while Serral rebuilds Infestors. That's a very, very good choice from both sides. Maru's income, of course, has been ahead whenever he's dropping mules. He's still mining the minerals in the top left and the bottom center. His gold base, I believe, is mined out.
Yeah, I think so as well. You drop another fungal here. These Broodlords still hunting for some damage. You drop a fungal on the Ghosts as well. Can we capitalize? Maybe not, but even just pushing this back is a big deal. All the rest of the Ghosts still hanging in the back. There's Corruptors out, so the handful of Vikings are not necessarily going to be the answer Maru wants them to be. I'm not sure you can afford enough Vikings to necessarily make a difference. Widow Mine's going off on Brutalins is never fun either. These units are, well, past their sell-by date with Brutalins coming through, and Serral continues to push. He needs to progress into one of these bases, and he knows it. He's back to denying this top left-hand side. Couple Widow Mines left here. Gonna connect on Corruptors. Serral cleans them up, and now he gets on top of this location.
That command center is very important. Maru's going to try to defend it, but I don't know if he can right now. The Marauders up front, the Ghosts behind it. Problem is, he doesn't have much firepower. The Broodlings are so hard to take care of. The Vikings coming in. Fungal going down on the Vikings. The Broodlord's in trouble. The Ultra Bane trying to pull away. Snipes out of land. Fungal's countering. The Corruptor's coming forward. Another Fungal landing. The Medivacs pulling back. The Ghost getting hit by Banelings. Massive Baneling hits on the Ghost.
There's so much going on. The Corruptor Broodlord is all that's left. The Ghost's almost out of energy, which means the Broodlords are going to turn back into them for a few seconds. It is going to be Maru to lift up and back away. 114 to 60 series supply. The banks are devastated. Maru, he wants to retake this base again. Serral's going to say, no, 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 I cannot let you take this base. So he's going to force that to lift up again, push this back as Serral fights for every scrap of economy on the map at this point. 5 Vikings building at a time. Serral only has so much anti as the orbital goes down. The Ghosts do not find themselves any infestors.
Ooh, I thought a big EMP could land in the middle of the Infestor Viper. Serral cannot leave them sitting out there. So much of Serral's army value is represented by his spellcasters, and we know that EMP can wreck them. The same way, of course, if Maru's remaining ghosts get caught by, say, a few Fungals and Banelings, same thing, it's game over, it's lights out. Serral has a massive army advantage. It looks like it's in his favor. It looks like it's almost game over. And I think these minerals up here are about to go down, though. So 2 mineral patches for Serral. Does he have any minerals in the bottom right? I think he's got 2 mineral patches. If we can click the individual minerals, we've got 400 minerals there. And we've got about, he's got a lot. About 600 there. Oh, he found an 800 mineral patch. That's massive. So he's actually got maybe 2,000 more minerals he can mine from. Maru, does he have anything in the bottom left?
I don't think so. Just on the 6 o'clock, which is what? 25 minerals.
Oh.
He's broke. He's super broke. Oh, this Infestor just chilling here. We've seen those be deadly so far as Maru has to make a play to this top left. He needs these minerals, I think, but is his army good enough to fight right here and now? Ghosts are coming forward, looking for the EMPs, gets fungled instead. The Infestors protect themselves. We try and fight off the mules and SCVs on this top left.
Maru, long distance mining. He's spamming mules to steal these minerals. He might get 1 or 2 trips at most, 25 minerals per mule trip, but the Broodlord's denying quite a few of those. At least he's removing minerals that Serral could mine, but he doesn't realize Serral left a few of those mineral patches in his back bases. That's where Serral is getting most of his income from right now. And he's adding more Infestors, more Corruptors, Cloaked Ghost coming forward. There is an Overseer there in the mode that gives it extra vision, though. The creep coming forward as well. Serral is doing such a good job of controlling the space. The Overseer goes down. There's 2 more on the right. Oh, man, what a close game. Maru has honestly absolutely earned the respect of the world. We've talked about his late game being amazing. Doing this on this map with Serral having the start that he did has been just amazing. Whether or not he can bring it back from here, and it's looking like it's going to be very tough to do so, I have so much respect for how both of them have played this out.
Absolute dream of a TVZ, and I mean the fact you're fighting over these top left minerals, drones and SCVs taking turns, long distance mining. Serral is hunting with these Infestors. Needs to be careful of the EMP. Fungal only lands on a Marauder. Now we get the Medivacs as well. What else can we find as another Fungal comes in? We're just hunting down whatever is available. A Liberator shows up to try and keep this zoned away. Serral much more control of this top left now. Those final few drones just grabbing a couple extra minerals, and with every mineral we just add in a spellcaster, an Infestor or a Viper, things that can help you in the long run here.
Hey, is about 100 minerals there on the wall that players do tend to forget about. We just saw Maru kind of scratching his face and looking quite dejected. There's no more minerals to mine for him, so he has very little play that he can do. Another there kind of moment of him going, what can I do, man? What can I do? He fought this out like a legend, and a legend indeed he is. I mean, you don't win 7 GSL titles without being one of the very best the game's ever seen. But on here, map 2 in this grand finals, a massive tournament. And what a way to cap it off this is going to be, this grand finals. It's already starting with fireworks. It obviously will feel bad if you end up going down 0-2, but you got to take into account that this map here was the worst map you'll have to play. The only real pain, I would say, is losing map 1. That's the one that's more frustrating for Maru. As long as he can center himself and get that calm thought, not be too obsessed with the score line and think about that, because 2-0 looks intimidating. With the maps that'll come after this, it isn't nearly as intimidating as it could be.
See Serral, just going to value every mineral there, dropping Fungals on the mules. They will never get away. Just try and stop them mining because these minerals can be his, and that's just how he enhances his army even further. He's in no rush anymore. He knows that Maru is pretty much out. He knows he doesn't have much else left to mine from, so he's happy to sit here in long distance and just build up the best army possible so that when it comes to this one final fight, he is guaranteed to take this down. So that is where we sit. That's where we stand. And Serral, I mean, the supply difference now about 100 up, and you're right, Big. I think as Maru, you're probably in a way thinking, okay, I'm probably down 0-2. Thinking a little bit about what we're going to do in Game 3. And again, taking encouragement. If you can get to this stage of a game, boy, you are a monster.
He can force a draw. I mean, I was thinking he's lost, but actually he can force a draw. There's a few famous games. Maru had one. Was it Maru Scarlet, right? On King's Cove? 2019, maybe? Something like that, yeah. He basically could have just lifted off and forced a draw, and he didn't think about it. Cure had a game last year versus Dark, same thing happened. It would have been very hard to do, but there's always that small chance. If he felt like dragging it out for another half an hour, he could have tried for it. It was a long shot, and he's a bit of a gentleman. He's like, you know what? For that slim chance, nuh-uh, let's go to the next one. What a fantastic game, too.
Just phenomenal. I mean, how many infestors landed amazing fungal growth? It was just ridiculous. And then for Maru, off of all of that, to be really not in a great spot initially, to start pulling it back, I mean, there was just not the chance here, realistically, for Serral to end it, even after all of this. It just shows how terrifying Maru can be in those later stages. And like you said, I think that's got to be a concern for Serral in the rest of these games. Urgency, the reason to kind of get things done and to move through this is absolutely going to be there, because you do not want to end up in a scenario like this on a map with any less bases.
Yeah, he weathered the storm like a champion. Maru just hanging on. Honestly, with so many of these fungal ambushes happening repeatedly, you really think, you know, you're like, come on, surely you're going to get taken down. He's just so solid. And the fact that he was smiling and laughing through it, you know, it's rare that I think the random comment section or Twitch chat is correct, but I think definitely if you're playing at Serral to late game, getting a second starport on the tech lab and building the occasional Raven actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, just even if it's just lurking on your army, sometimes it's going to accidentally grab that infestor, right? So, yeah, GG called in the end there from Maru. Serral takes a 2-0 lead in the Katowice Grand Finals. These guys do not need a break. They are ready to keep it rolling, man. 40 minutes and Rowdy said, no, it's okay. Let's get to hard lead then for this Game 3.
Bathroom breaks are for the week, Wardy. They're going to go straight on into the next one. They are already demanding that they start. Both players very focused and ready. There's definitely a few moments where Serral looked a little bit perturbed, but he managed to calm his emotions and continue to stay focused. I've noticed a difference in his demeanor in the last 6 months. We don't see a lot of the kind of frustrated, angry hair tussling and kind of fidgeting in his chair like we saw. I feel like there's a new level of focus he has where you can still see the frustration in his, you know, pursuit of perfection and never being satisfied, but it just feels like he's a little bit more controlled.
I'm with you, man. And you know, coming into this event, it's the best he's looked in one of these biggest events in a very long time. As in the top left, we're going to start Game 3 off with the red Terran player. Let's give him some love. Let's make some noise. Let's get some power to this Terran. It is Maru.
He's going to need to get the comeback train going. But down here in the bottom right, this man has not made that easy for anyone in this tournament. His entire goal has been to stop his opponent from having any fun playing StarCraft today. It has been an absolute menace playing against him. In the bottom right side of the map, representing Basilisk, looking for the 3-0 lead, it is Serral. Taking the wind out of his opponent's sails very often today. Maru usually a trickier beast to stop in his tracks. Curious to see what Maru's going to bring out. Another high ground barracks, no 2 Rax Reapers or anything like that. I think this is a really good choice. We saw the big Roach push in Game 1, and I think Serral has a few more of those up his sleeve. If you put your buildings on the low ground, he's going to punish you. He's very good at denying, especially if you're top spawn and your tech lab's on the outside of the wall. You're going to lose stim for sure.
You're just asking for trouble, right? Serral is not afraid to just play those more aggressive setups, those more aggressive styles if he feels like that is, you know, what's going to get him the wins, and he will do that, and especially at that 2-0 lead as well, able to kind of get to that point where, you know, now he's got a little bit of room to play with as well in the series. Of course, we do with Hard Lead go back to this being a Maru map pick, so this is going to be his next best chance. I mean, if you don't win this, not only are you 0-3 down, but you're back to a Serral map pick for game number 4. It is even more of an uphill battle, obviously, so Maru needs to find something here on hard lead. He needs to get a little bit of love going for himself at the start of this one. We'll see what his style is going to be. We see if Serral has something else planned for a map that's typically, you know, fairly nice for Terrans. Does Serral have something to kind of offset that in the early game like he did on Hecate?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Serral going for something like a 60 drone, 3 or 4 gas, just massling Bane play. The Terrans obviously almost always sending out most of their Marines and medevacs to pressure, and if you hide those units, wait for them to move out, do the big counter bust while defending at home, could be a great move. Dark used that a few times back in 2022 against Maru to great success in the Valencia finals.
Yeah, that's actually very true. We casted that one as well. That was a great series back then. And our link speed sits halfway done. That 3cc coming down once more, so we are going to see Maru heading into a little bit of an eco focus here on hard lead, not looking for anything too wild immediately or too heavy pressure focused. And you have the Marine just edging out the Overlord from the base. Now Serral will try and come back with that later on for some further scouting.
Serral's too good with his scouting, you know, Overlord speed and all this sort of stuff. He does it so often. It does feel like if you lean too hard into special tactics, it's a very high percentage Serral scouts them, and then he just starts to shut everything down because he knows how to be very safe against it without overcommitting, and he builds an advantage, and then obviously that's a slippery slope where he scouts the next thing you're doing, then you're even further behind. Maru's ability to put on pressure in that in-between stage, light pressure, not overcommitted, kind of leaning forwards and backwards and only committing when the opening is available. It's a great way to play it out, and no surprise to see Serral going roaches on this map. Pretty much every time he plays hard lead, he's going roaches.
Yeah, but that roach run comes down immediately, and it's just one of those ones where it gives you control. You have the option of a bit more pressure if you want it as well. And if the Terran just tries to do something, gets set up quickly or try to take a position, roaches are so good at dislodging that initially as well, or at least stopping it getting in position a lot of the time. As the Lings get through for the full scout there, not really much to tell. I guess no add-on on the starport, for example, is the sort of thing you pick up on. So it is a Viking popping out of there initially, now the Liberator coming through. As Serral's Roachron is going to finish, and he's got a bit of gas to spend. He's going to make the first few roaches right now.
Oh, a bunch more Lings on the way and roaches. Serral's going to be very aggressive. This is a Ravager Ling. And you know what? Scouting that there was no tech lab on the starport, he knows it's not Banshee. This is reactive. I think he was probably thinking, you know, maybe I'll do this, but seeing that, he's like, oh yeah, you're not going to have Banshees. Ravager Ling can be very powerful off 38 workers, 3 gas. He's building these. He's got to disguise it, though. He has to hide what he's doing. I don't think he's fake transferred any drones to his third base. So if Maru's Hellions get in there, they can see, wait, that is not a proper Zerg economy. You must be making army. But Maru is so defensive with his Hellions right now.
Yeah, they're even pulling back for a few moments. Now going to re-engage forward. Knocks Creep down, sees the first roach. So he does pick up on it, and that is a fairly quick pickup, so you can get some bunkers down at the very least. The Liberator turns home as well with a little bit of time. We're even killing a roach on the way home.
Nice.
With these Hellions, the more you do that, the better off this is going to be. The Ravagers begin to morph, more Lings on the way. Serral still committing through on it. Will he be able to break through this front wall?
Serral does not want to let Maru play StarCraft. I keep saying that phrase, but I really feel that's been his whole intention this tournament. There are no, I'm just going to macro to the mid game. He's always looking for an edge, and in this case, that edge is killing you before the 6-minute mark. Maru has to pull all of the boys to mass repair. The few Marines he has are getting inside those bunkers, splitting two at a side. As these depots go down, he is going to be supply blocked. Maru has a siege tank on the way, but his Marine production's halted for now, and that's a lot of Ravagers. He could one-shot a bunker if they shoot all their biles at once, but look at that, nicely done. A Ravager snipe by the Liberator. The mass repair is fantastic. Maru's hold is really good so far.
Position is absolutely spot on. The Liberator far enough back, it's difficult to get. Now we're going to dive forward. The Lings are going to have to do most of the work here. We hit a lot of SCVs though with those biles, and now the Lings still deciding how they're going to do this. If they clump up, those Hellions are going to have a good time. More biles, the SCVs backing away. The bunker goes down, the biles getting huge connections. Here is the siege tank, but so many SCVs have already been slain. 22 kills, and the Ravagers are still in the natural.
That's not enough damage just yet for it to be fully worth it, but he's not done yet. Those Ravagers and Lings are still doing well. Engineering bays, oh, those upgrades are about halfway done. Nice snipe on the first one. Armor does get denied. Coming down that ramp is Maru. He's got to be careful. Lings are still rallying in here, getting his army surrounded. Oh, Maru blew it out. He did not want to lose his upgrades, and that was a huge misstep. He had to let those get sacrificed. Serral was massively committed, and don't get me wrong, I think Serral might have had a lead after denying the upgrades, but Maru getting lured to the low ground was a crucial mistake. He could have played that out from a little behind. but he was not willing to give up the upgrades. He thought the reinforce was done. Serral hit it, and that was brutal.
Absolutely brutal, because I kind of felt like, okay, this was bad, but maybe you have the recovery. It's triple CC. You were a bit greedy, sure, but Serral took so long to drone, but then you lose that army. And then it's just, you can't do anything from there, obviously, hence the GG. And suddenly, Serral sits one map away from his second Katowice championship.
Ooh, absolutely massive. And you know, last time Serral won here in Katowice, it was a very close 4-3 over Rainer. It was heart attack inducing. He doesn't want that again. He'd like this to be a bit more one-sided in his favor. We talked about him maybe being afraid after map 2 of the late game on a Terran-favored map. Hard-led, Terran-favored map. Guess what? Let's just get him before the 6-7 minute mark. It's a good way to do it. And he's just choosing his build so well.
Yeah, he really is, and that's the brutality of it. Like, he's such a good player, he doesn't need to do this, but when he does do this, it excels him as a player even further. It amplifies just how dangerous he can be, as we get a beautiful shot of the very passionate Polish fans here in the stage.
I saw Maynard on that banner.
Yeah.
Serral. Honestly, this has been fantastic from Serral. He's just looking so good. And I think as Maru here and being in his corner, you have to say, okay, on our map picks, you got to watch out for the roach aggression. 2 for 2. On our map picks, it's been roach aggression. Now we're going back into the Zerg map. This is maybe where you want to play a bit greedier. You want to go for the Viking, into the Liberator, those low impact units. But I think on those Terran-favored maps, we may need to go for the Banshees because this man is ridiculous. Down here in the bottom left side of the map, up 3-0 in this best of 7. Representing Basilisk, he's looking for the finish. It is Serral.
It's time to channel our energy from around the world and in this stadium to try and give this man some power, because he needs it to reverse sweep one of the greatest of all time, to be one of the greatest of all time himself. Let's make some noise. Let's give some power to Vitality's Maru.
Oh, sneaky, sneaky. So this is the 2 barracks Reaper, I believe, but you've hidden the second barracks closer. If the Zerg goes for a quick third base, you can very well snipe it. You can also just get in and kill a few more drones. Just a bit more chaos, right?
Yeah, being able to just get that first Reaper, hear that little sooner off that barracks, it just adds those few seconds, which in a game like this really adds up to a lot. So you get in there, you deal some damage, you cause chaos, you interrupt and disrupt that a little bit more than usual. It really does just help, and it's not just the Reaper out of here first, but even the second Reaper out of here, that little bit of reinforcement boost, you can just sometimes knock a Queen over the edge that the Zerg wasn't expecting. So these are things for Serral to be careful of as we set up here on map 4.
Maru's mentality is truly being tested now. His ability to hold firm in chaotic and bad situations. Previously, before this series started, Serral did have, in series against Maru, a roughly 75% win rate. That is a very big one, but a lot of that was online. A lot of people said, you know, it's never really been the big giant series on a big stage. And it's going to be interesting to see how both players hold up there. Serral's always famously said that he doesn't play better at LAN. People say, wow, how are you always so good at LAN? How are you so good at these live tournaments? He said, no, I don't play better. Everyone else just plays worse. I play the same.
That's true.
It's such an astute statement, but it's true. He just doesn't lose value. And I feel like he's so much more focused. His preparation is on point. Oh, nice spore trick to start, but Maru gets his first snipe. Great micro.
Yeah, but here I can see second spore crawler coming down. The Queen having to work its way through the maze of spores. We do have a second drone kill. The Ling's very nearly getting us around. That was dangerous. There's a Queen on the low ground too. One of these Reapers is hurting and it will go down, so already paying a price. Here early is Maru, and that's some of the continuation power now lost out on.
And Serral's not opting for a quick third or anything like that. He's not being too greedy. He's just got the fast Ling speed, which of course will stabilize and shut this down. Maru going 3cc behind it, has to lift his second barracks and start to float it backwards. Looking for the Zergling. Serral's pullbacks have been crisp. Even pulling back the red hit point Zergling there, it's these little details denying damage, making it hard for Maru. And the focus fire, another Reaper goes down. He did get a drone. It's not really worth it though. Serral has been shutting down this proxy Reaper quite hard.
Yeah, it's just losing Reapers is almost always bad because you want to keep the pressure up as long as possible. If you have those Reapers, you might slow down the third base being taken. Even when Link Speed kicks in, a couple of Reapers, you know, if there's 4 of them, they can kind of stick around a bit more. Now they have to just go home. Serral is free to do as he wishes, and that's all because the defense was good as the double factory follower back at home here from Maru.
Show us that Ghost Mech, mate. I think it was a game versus Dark in MC7 where Maru went straight 5 factory mech into Ghosts.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful game. He played this against Serral, actually. I think it was the year he won 2 years ago in the group stage as well. And he defeated Serral. Serral looked like he couldn't quite keep up with him in the late game. We went, yeah, this is awesome. This is like the best late game. I don't think Maru's ever played mech into Ghosts ever again since Serral, since that one time. We're like, but it worked the one time you did it. Please, even if it doesn't work, can you at least show it to us so we can see why it doesn't work, so we can learn? Because Maru, I mean, when he plays mech, dude, he's on another level. His Hellion run-bys are going to be great. He's got all-consuming Cyclone play, and then he'll just swap into tanks, add the Ghost, get to that late game, and he is a very powerful late-game player.
Oh yeah, no, he really, really is. It's just terrifying as well because with mech, it's so difficult to break him down early. There's a couple timing windows, but if you miss that window, it's not like when you're playing against Bio where it's like, okay, I'll regroup and go again. The window is generally shut, and then you're forced into that later stage with Maru being as good as he is with mech. Terrifying to play against. Hurricane Thrust is on the way, so we're focused on Cyclone Speed here early, as Maru's shown us his intentions for these early minutes.
3 Cyclones at a time and a Hellion. Cyclones are not terrible versus Zerglings, but they're not great either, so you have a few of those Hellions with their splash damage backing them up to punish. Normally, if you realize what's happening, Mass Zergling can be amazing if you get the big surprise surround. But otherwise, you need Ravagers. Banelings can obviously help with surrounds, but usually it's Roaches and Ravagers that are going to stabilize you. We found that Hydras are not optimal. Talking to a lot of the players, seeing Hero Marine just destroying so many Hydras, and I remember speaking to Serral about it. I was like, you know, what do you think about the Hydras? And he was saying, oh, you know, if you scout it late, Hydras, you know, you kind of want to just stick on the Hydras. You don't want to go back to Roach Tech and start the Roach speed so late. And I kind of pressed him on it, and I said, but okay, but like, you know, if you were in the shoes of these other games we saw of other Zergs like Solar and Scarlet and everyone struggling against it, and he said, oh no, I'd still go Roaches. I'd go Roaches, I'd try to get some Infestors out to fungal these Cyclones and Hellions, trap them in place. And part of the reason is the Roaches are just so tanky for their cost. 145 hit points, there's no bonus to mechanical against a Roach. They can absorb endless Cyclone damage, whereas Hydraling Bane just crumbles too quickly.
Banelings setting up here as this is going to be the start of this Cyclone Hellion attack. Maulings on the way. Serral is going to be realizing it now as he gets ready. Again, as many units as possible. If you can get the wraparound, then Banes crash in, then brilliant, but that's going to be, you know, not easy to find. There's a few Lings engaged to the top side already. They go down, so Serral may have taken some losses. He has a lot of Queens here to help with the defense.
Yeah, that's a lot of tanky lasses there. They're going to be able to transfuse each other and stop this from getting too much damage. Finally, one Queen does fall. Blue Flame's on the way, but only just starting. The Cyclone Hellion need to not get surrounded. But he's doing good damage. Maru's up to 58 workers. He's not got a 4th command center finished just yet or anything like that. He's really quite committed to this push. No armor he's upgrading either. Cyclone's picking off Baneling's big Ling run by behind though. Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is what Serral was setting up with. He was sending all his Lings on the other side of the map. A couple Cyclones don't fare well on their own, but the SCVs did get in front. Now these Lings are going to return back home, maybe looking to try and help with a surround. The Banelings getting so close to Bane speed, but it just isn't there yet. Now we turn back around on the ramp. The Lings try to find the surround. It lets a few Banelings connect, and the Cyclones are hurting. And Serral will start to clean up, but the reinforcements of Maru are here as well.
Well done by Maru. He didn't really lose any SCVs. His new rally reinforcing. This is relentless. There's no Roach Warren. There's no Hydra Den. It's just Lings, Banes, and Queens. The Roach Warren now going down in desperation. But you can see Serral's face. He realizes he's up against the wall. And Maru, a lot of people I'm sure out there were doubting him. They were thinking, oh gosh, you know, we're going to see a 4-0, aren't we? We finally get that finals we've been waiting for between these two, and it's going to be one-sided. But no. Maru is not done yet. Uh-oh, there is a flank north of him, though. He's going to be careful about getting surrounded. If those Banelings can connect, they are very effective.
Yeah, it's actually some Banelings in that army as well as the Lings look for the wraparound. Some of these Cyclones at least surely get caught. Most of them are slipping away. Banelings connect on the Hellions, but then as you try and retreat, the Cyclones will get even more value, and that is just not good enough for Serral. As Baneling after Baneling goes down, and Maru will continue to control the map. As upgrades are going to finish from Serral, but that is a far stretch from what you're hoping for. He is getting a few Roaches out, but Maybe too little, too late.
Aliens go in the mineral line, get some good shots off, but nice links around Maru, going a bit deep with those blue flame aliens, but he's so good at pulling back and spreading it. It seems like you said, he's butted up, he's greased up, he's cyclones. They just don't get caught. They're constantly peeling their way back. He's got to be careful about going too far. The Queens are low on transfuse, but he's also low on Hellions behind it. Ling Run By comes in, going to force Maru home momentarily. His fourth command center is quite late. He's got an amazing work account, but they're obviously on a very oversaturated 3 bases. If Maru can get a 4th and then a 5th base up in the near future, he's got 1-1 upgrade started. Of course, the 1-1 is finished for Serral, but this has got to be something that you've got to be careful of. You're kidding me. He gets the Roach Horn.
Placed on the front of that 6 o'clock base because I guess Serral was just there. He's like, well, it's out of the way for now, but when the Cyclones get over here, it immediately becomes a mistake. Roach speed is slowed, and that's obviously painful because now those Roaches will struggle to reach these units which are constantly kiting away from you. Speed, such an important upgrade as the Pains turn again for some value.
That was a 0 APM ambush. He just clicked them behind the grass and then just looked away, and they did do the job. Took out a few Hellions, got some decent hits. Roach Horn number 2 is almost complete for Serral. He's got +1 range, +2 melee on the way. The pro gamers were mentioning about how if you don't keep upgrading Carapace, it actually gets very problematic against Cyclones. If you end up on no or only 1 Carapace and they've got +3 Cyclones, it is disgusting how much damage they do because they shoot so very fast.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only benefit there is at least the Terran upgrades were not coming super quickly, right? The double armory only finished a little while back. This was commitment to the units at first from Maru. He was switching as well back at home. Siege tanks are now in production, so a different style of mech starting to be established. Some Lings getting some catches, and Serral feels like he's at least getting a bit of map control back, but arguably after Maru has done everything he wanted to get set up. Yes, the Balins, and Maru's not pulling away. Goodbye, mineral line 12, 16 SCVs, and that could be a turning point.
That's about the biggest response you're going to get of Maru. Just a slight slouch of the shoulders after that. That was not something he needed to give up. Remember, Battle Mech, you can get ahead on workers and still get taken out. Even though he's still up on workers after that, he's still in a good position. It's no longer a great position. Serral has the supply advantage, he's got the army advantage, and he's got core upgrades that he's needed for a while finally kicking in, like Roach Speed. Roach Speed, +1 range, Baneling Speed, all done. He's got an Infestation that's finishing up now. And Maru, whilst he's not killable, he's also not got a way of defeating Serral. And that is going to give Serral the room to make up the transitions, the tech, the creep spread that he needs to get properly established.
It was a Spire that came down instantly as he started up the hive, so options there for the later stages. These few drones are not quite safe as they try and transfer across to that base. We'll take a couple units to clean these Hellions up. All 6 of those drones go down. You mentioned those Hellion run-bys. Well, this was a killer. 7 drones immediately. Maybe get 1 more at the very end here to make it 8. And of course, pulls Serral back a little bit as well, who haven't been so contained in this game. Creep spread is anything but what he wants it to be. It's barely out in front of the bases, a little bit more so in the middle of the map, but not super far. And that means that Maru will have pretty good freedom moving out through the center here and trying to set up in position to take some larger later game fights.
How does Maru transition from here? For now, it looks like a gigantic push. We don't see a big sign of like 6-7 command centers and ghosts. It looks like he wants to take the fight to Serral. Looking to carry forwards the advantage from the early game. Serral has a fantastic amount of numbers though, and a big Ling run by on the left side. A few tanks and cyclones aren't going to be enough to defend that. Great run by for Serral.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Just the orbital command here. SCVs going down. You get a few vital units as well. Makes these Lings so efficient. So many SCVs going down. 15 workers end up dropping. And now Maru's only sitting at 60 SCVs. This push is becoming more and more important to get something done as the Banes jump with the creep.
He needs to get massive damage done, Wardy. You're on the money there. The Lings are so annoying. They're in his 3rd base now as well. They already cleared out his 4th, but a good tank volley does clear a lot of ravages. A few tanks do fall. The tanks are all unsieging. Maru, I think he's decided to stop going all in, but no, the tanks are moving forward. The Mad Lad is moving his tanks forward with very little support. Maru is insane. He is saying, no, I've got a forward position. Let's keep on pressing the issue. Then you know what? It could be a game-winning move. It is a risky maneuver, though. Serral's Ravager's going to answer with a few piles. The front tank goes down. The Cyclone Alien looking at pressure, but another Ling run by.
Orbital commands are not holding up right now as SCVs are dropping. Here comes Serral looking for Biles, looking for Lings on top of these tanks. He knocks a couple more down. He's not far off of those Vipers as well. Blinding Clouds or Ducks to help knock down the siege tanks here. And just Serral causing so much trouble on Maru's side of the map. That has really been the hindrance. Otherwise, Maru would have had so much more to keep on pushing with. Now Maru has stepped back for a moment. He's still in the middle, but he's not sieged up towards Serral's bases. It's still that lack of creep that might hurt Serral more than anything else, but man, we're getting close to a greater Spire. The Vipers will have energy now as well, and just another couple Lings cause trouble.
Maru's got to be having flashbacks to that Game 7 he played against Dark in the Masters Coliseum recently, where he died to Ling run bys. It's a game that was really traumatic. It was very painful. Blinding clouds all over the tanks. There's not many tanks here. There's only 4. Every single one got blinding clouded. Only a tank on the low ground getting a few hits off. The Cyclone run by on the left side is getting some good economic damage. He also catches the Queens on the right. It started as a terrible fight for Maru. He is getting a bit of value though.
Salvaging it a little bit. These Cyclones on that left side from that picture-in-picture will be going down. There's still Lings across the map, killing their CVs as these two scrap it out here on Alcyone. All those Cyclones end up dropping. The Cyclones in the south will be next as well. Nothing to protect them. So that's a full surround. Serral cleans up, and he is, for now, going to knock the final tank down. The game will settle for a second. Somehow we're still 90 to 80 workers after all of this damage.
I mean, Serral's lost like 10, maybe 15 drones this game. I think Maru's lost about 70, something like that, a pretty massive amount. As Maru looking a little bit frustrated because it's losing those workers. It was a huge amount of minerals. 58 workers going down for the Terran. And that's his entire supply disadvantage. And then some. Imagine those workers mining how much more stuff he could have at this point. He's trying to take a 5th on the far left, but look, Serral's getting ready for another attack. More Lings coming in. He needs to be walling off these sides. It's very hard to wall off that side. Maybe send some Hellions or put a Hellbat on hold position there. It's tough. Maru is trailing in the army. He's got +3 vehicle weapons on the way, but that planetary on the left, it's wide open.
Yep, absolutely nothing here at all. Serral finally finds the chance to be aggressive with more than just Lings, and he's going to blow up the mineral line as he goes. Blinding clouds to push a couple units back. We abduct the Cyclones in as well for some extra value before we turn away and back this up. But you do have a bit of a chase from Maru, but Serral, I think, winning there because knocking that top left base down, hitting the economy, and guess what? It's Ling time yet again. They run into the right side, forcing the SCVs back once more. It's just endless.
This is a Deja Vu Nightmare edition for Maru. It feels like the Lings just keep coming over and over again, and he never is in position to deal with them. 21 workers extra going down. That means we are up to almost 80 burrowed infestors are now out there ready to catch him as well. More Lings on burrowing in the mineral line. Maru has a big army. He's got 2-2 upgrades. He's going to push forward and deny the gold, but Serral has got a giant force of Banelings rolling in and clearing their Hellbats. Massive engagement for Serral. Piles the front line of tanks and just tactically disengages. Beautiful play from the Finnish Phenom.
And he is going to get the GG as he becomes your Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2024 champion. A rough early game, but he gets it done to lift this prestigious trophy.
Absolutely stunning victory there. Hard earned, and he looked unstoppable today this entire tournament. He worked incredibly hard for this.
Oh yes, he did. It was absolutely stunning, his performance. I mean, he dropped one map to a Ling Bane skirmish against Dark. That is it. It's not like he had an easy route here, but boy did he make it look so. This finals wasn't easy, and yet it was still a 4-0. He had to duel for it on Radu's set. Serral did it all, and he is a well-deserving champion.
Serral, it is one thing to win the IEM Katowice Championship. It is another thing to win it so decisively. It is my honor to present you with the Champion's Medal. Serral, what does it feel like to hoist that trophy once again? I know you understood the path, you knew the weight. This is familiar to you, but you've done it once more.
Yeah, it's still very heavy, but yeah, this is what I came for here, and I'm really happy. It feels just as good as it feels just as good as 2 years ago.
I'm so glad to hear it. I know you've been working for it. I know this was your plan, and you did it so decisively. Was there anything you feel like you did not get to do here at this tournament?
No, I think I gave this one my everything. And yeah, I didn't really leave anything in myself, and this was my full performance. I don't think I can do much better.
You did fantastic. You have so much to be proud of. I've asked you several times over the course of this tournament, where you've stood at this winner's podium several times, to address the crowd. but I want to give you that opportunity one more time. Come forward, stand at the edge of the stage, and tell the people what you'd like to tell them.
I want to thank everyone who has been here. It's a pretty packed crowd, and all the cheering has been absolutely fantastic. And it just feels amazing to play in front of the Polish crowd.
Everyone, your champion of IEM Katowice in StarCraft II of Team Basilisk, Serral.
An unbelievable final from Serral here, and it did not really disappoint. Those games were excellent, but Serral was on another level. 4-0 against Maru, making it look easy to a degree, but Maru put up a fight here. Joining me on the desk, I have Reina, Loco, as well as Rotterdam. Rotti, it was Serral back and never ending. It was insane what he just did.
It was everything that we know Serral know for, right? Like convincing, dominating, stunning. It almost felt that he had a relatively easy approach to the final where he said, on the good Zerg maps, I'm just going to be Serral, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to macro, and I'm going to do my thing. And on the good Terran maps, I'm going to do whatever the hell I can to disturb your build order. I'm going to be in your face. If I win the game immediately, awesome. If not, I hope I get myself pretty far ahead. And honestly, it almost felt like it worked out perfectly because that's exactly how the grand finals went.
Reina taught me, I mean, like looking at how this played out as well. Game number 2, Radu set almost the entire map mined out here. Maru just, he tried to have an answer, but there was nothing available to him.
I don't know, like for me that game was very impressive out of both because as we said, the map is very good for Zerg and Maru held on like really well. So I was like, okay, if this is how he does on Radu set, then it's gonna be quite good, you know, on the other maps, but then he kind of just got bopped. So
You were hoping for mech.
Yeah, I was hoping for mech, yeah, I think Maru's mech is actually quite scary, and I think the last game was probably the closest, so.
Definitely so. Loco, looking at it as a whole here, though, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, incredible performance, right? He just looked dominant the entire...